Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding, by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Hello and welcome back to Flood Protection Secrets. Great to have you here again. And in the last episodes, we spoke about waiting, about clarity, and about why many solutions fail. Today, I want to give you something structured, a framework, a way to manage complexity, because flood protection is not a single decision. It is a project. And in many cases, it is a complex project, let me say it this way, with multiple stakeholders, multiple buildings, and multiple risks. Over the years, working with companies, governments, and private clients around the world, I developed a structured framework to manage exactly this complexity. I call it the Flood Protection Pentagon. This framework defines 5 essential elements that must be aligned for a successful project. Let me walk you through them. The first is collaboration. Every project starts with people. You need the right stakeholders, clear communication, defined responsibilities, because without collaboration, even the best plan will fail. The second cornerstone of the Flood Protection Pentagon is technology. Now we define the technical direction, what solutions are possible, what fits the building, what are the consequences for daily operations. Technology must be adapted to the real situation, not assumed. That leads us to the third cornerstone of the Flood Protection Pentagon, the scope of work. This is where structure becomes concrete. What needs to be done? Engineering, assessment, detailed engineering, drawings and specifications. That creates a foundation for execution and procurement. But then comes also the civil works. All the civil works that are necessary to prepare the location that flood barriers can be installed. And of course the installation itself of these flood barriers. The cornerstone number 4 of the Flood Protection Pentagon is called timeline. Now we define time. When do we start? In which sequence are the sub-projects executed? How do priorities influence time and cost? Because delay is not neutral. Delay increases risks. Think about a hotel that you are prepared for the hot season, for seasonal celebrations, or think about fabrication when you know that your customers need all the products you are going to produce. That defines the timeline of your flood protection project. It also defines it in a way that you might not be allowed to install flood barriers during daytime because you simply disturb the daily operations, or you only have a small time window during nighttime. Especially when you work at an airport, then you only have a couple of hours perhaps, as long as the airport closes, like what happens in Europe. So all these things are very sensitive. The cornerstone number 5 is the budget. And finally, financial clarity. What is the investment? How is the budget structured across all sub-projects? And in which order should the investments be made? So let me summarize it for you. The 5 cornerstones of the Flood Protection Pentagon. First, collaboration. Second, technology. Third, scope of work. Fourth, timeline. Fifth, budget. These 5 elements form the Flood Protection Pentagon, how I structured it. And here's a key point. Most projects do not fail because of one big mistake. They fail because one of these elements is missing or misaligned. No clear communication, wrong technical assumptions, incomplete scope, unrealistic timeline, or insufficient budget planning. And suddenly the project is delayed. Costs increase and the risk remains. Perhaps some of you are waiting for my golden nugget. Here it comes for today. Flood protection is not about a product. It is about managing 5 elements in a structured way. The 5 elements are the cornerstones of the Flood Protection Pentagon. So here's my question for you. Which of these 5 elements is currently missing in your project? Which of the 5 I mentioned before? Because protection is not created by intention, it is created by structure. So build your framework, align your elements, and make sure your project succeeds before the next heavy rainfall arrives. You're only one missing decision away from your facility being flooded. Stay safe and flood free.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding, by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.